I don't know. Do I ever know? I never claim to know. Is that a lie? Did I just lie? I am very like, I don't think we have to claim not knowing anything as long as we're open to our knowledge and our knowing of things expanding. Hello there. I almost didn't see you as I talked to myself, question mark. No one, question mark. Everyone, question mark. So I should have pulled the archetypes. It's fine. I'm gonna just be doing a quick, well, I say quick, but quick is relative to whoever you're watching. For me, let's see. But I won't be on here too long because it is Wednesday. So I wanted to use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. Eve, hey, how are you doing? I wanted to use the Dreams of Gaia and the Osho Zen to find out more about that negative space. Like when I ended it, I could kind of tell what the negative space was. Hey, Twitty, how you doing? And I was trying to explain it to Reen, but as I was like talking about it, my brain was literally like fading out of existence. Like it was so hard to like keep a thought. And then like when I was thinking about it, it's like the more I thought about it, the quieter my brain got. And I was just like, ugh. Well, we're gonna see, Eve. I say quick, but 6:00 is just a little over 2 hours away. I'm glad you're better today. I'm better today. I'm much better today than yesterday as well. It's like winter storm territory, so I got off work on time. Well, technically I got off early. And I don't have to go in tomorrow, so I'm excited to be enjoying the snow day. We getting all the snow that Canada got. Reen was like, I sent her a picture. She's like, oh, now it's looking like what it looked like here. What it looks like here. And I guess like the theme of a lot of things I've been doing lately, I feel like it's just an energy of who we are, what we can be, and like with the lack of internal conflict. So the King of Air and the Seven of Water. We'll see if this was a mistake. Oof. There are like 3 cards in this deck that I understand. Cried whale tears? Oh, after Russ's new series with the Healing Chiron. And it's not Spica. The star Pegasus. Where is this star? It's a binary star. The 16th brightest in orange. Is it Spica or Spica? 16th brightest in Earth's night sky, visible in the northern constellation Virgo. It is visible not only because of its size, but also because of its relatively close distance. It's only 260 light years away. I didn't know it was a binary star. I didn't know it was in Virgo either. See, I'm telling y'all, Virgo's hiding all kinds of stuff. Head of grain. Alpha Virginis. Brightest star in the zodiacal constellation Virgo. Okay. It's not that star, but that is a thing. You got through it and applauded yourself. You deserve it if you can get through that. I'm like, oof. And the waterworks came in when you did a reading for yourself. Oh my gosh. Well, let me not do that because I got a snow day. I don't have time to cry. Like, please. I might just sleep. So the nine of water just came out with the six of water. Where's the three? The 3, 6, 9 of water. We'll see what happens. What's interesting is in the six of water, something is being offered. In the nine of water, it has an energy of anticipate, like anticipating receiving something. It was a nice cry. Okay. All right. I love that. Nice cries are cool. Like this is waiting, like a waiting, like looking towards that. It could probably actually see what's coming down, maybe. Speaking of the brightest star in the constellation of Virgo, and then like she's offering a friendship bracelet. Like, how cute is that? Like, oh my gosh, let's be friends. Yeah. Bottom of the deck though is the 10 of fire. And I guess I am talking about or trying to pull around negative spaces. So this is perfect because it feels like the negative space, like there's two negative spaces. There's one between the soul and the self, and then another one between the self and the environment. And it feels like it's the same space though. Yeah, I guess because it's like you have you and then the environment and the space in between that forms that boundary. That's the negative space. And then there's like the you that is the I, the eternal witness. And then the environment to the I, internal witness, is our like internal, our brains, our hearts, us, right? Like I said, we'll see if I can. We'll see. New Uggs. I need a new coat. Your pug puppy's getting rid of it. Wasn't your pug puppy doing something the other day? So you had to like stop him or something? Mhm. And behind the 10 of fire is the Ace of Swords, which is the air dragon. Oops, I pulled two cards. What's this one? The Sage. The Sage, Perception, and the Mother. Well, we'll just do the Sage and Perception. Yeah, the Mother, she can sit there. You can continue sitting. No humpy. So the Sage came out with the Air Dragon, and then Perception is under that. See, now I got Randy stuck in my head. I got Randy stuck in my head. Is that Justice? I think that's Justice, Randy. Let's look at the lyrics. Why not? Oof. Well, we'll see. Because if the lyrics to Randy are Randy, then I'm not gonna read them. Get up and shake it up. It's time that you listen up and hear the call. They love the waterbed and not your own fire packed against the wall. Don't stop. Try to make your mark and make your mind up. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we're not gonna read all of this. Um, yeah, anyway. See, there's a lot of like fire in this though. You don't have to suffer. Okay, anyway. Hello, Kizzy Cat. How are you? The air dragon is cool. Oh, my nose. My nose. It was one day my nose was doing this weird thing when it would get super itchy and I would feel like I would have to sneeze, but I wouldn't sneeze. Like the sneeze wouldn't even build up. It would just like tingle and then it'd be gone. I'm like, ew. Read the air dragon? Like from the book? Well, between the Ten of Fire and Perception, and see, look, this is an Ace of Swords, but it's a grounded Ace of Swords. No, it wasn't my allergies. It was just weird. And it was only like, I think the first half of the day. See, they both have around the eyes, like that sort of like flared out. Hold up, let me see if I can. Is that better? Like the mask thing going on. But this is like an aligned mask thing. This Ace of Swords here, and it's interesting because that's an Ace of Swords, or it's one sword, and then the see, but the Ace of Swords in this deck is the dragon, the Ace of Air, the one of air. No, there's that like tiny little dagger on its forehead, but that dagger isn't like this sword. And then the sage is here. Ooh, cue the headache. Oh gosh. Mm-mm. This was a mistake. There's a synchronicity. Oh, okay. I kind of want to read it though. Synchronicities find us wherever, whether we want them to or not, sometimes. The Ace of Air. Ooh, key phrases meaning new way of thinking. It suggests now is the time to let go of old, outdated beliefs. See, it suggests that now is the time to let go of old, outdated beliefs and ideas that no longer serve and make way for new and independently formed personal ideology. And in the lyrics, it said, where is it? It was something in here. I thought, right? Maybe not. I guess not. I thought so. What? Oh, well. Yeah, no, it's not in there. I feel like I saw it or read it. The clapboard emoji. I don't think I used the book last time. Don't know if I like this one, but that's fine. Per se. Anyway, I still can't get Randy out of my head. See, because it feels like the sage. So there's something about not idealizing. Um, there's something about processing when it comes to whatever this is. It's like the sage can process things, but still almost allow it to keep its natural magic and wonder. And perspective, it feels overly processed. When it comes to this energy, maybe the ace of air in particular. But anyway, is that a dark angel? Are those wings? Yeah, they are. Those are wings back there. Well, I mean, maybe not an angel, but it's got wings. You know what I mean? Oof. I don't know why I thought I'd be able to do this. Every time I try, my brain goes blank. It goes blank. Numbers that came up in her Bible study group today. Okay, Twitty, enjoy the call. I don't know if it's. Oh. So does this run backwards? Okay. I think this runs backwards. Like we start at perception. Oh, after this. Okay, gotcha. Well, I don't want to have her waiting potentially for hours, but okay. I think we start at perception because again, it's an energy of like something being offered, and it's a friendship bracelet, so it's almost an energy of like I feel like I don't have enough oxygen in my body. um, oof, too much oxygen. It's a different dynamic, I think, maybe than a lot of us are used to. What's being offered because it's very like friendship bracelet energy. Oh, okay, Twitty. And this is us Not it's not in hand yet because we're still like looking up to receive it, right? And so it feels like perception is the filter that these things pass through in a way. Because perception affects what we receive, right? It's like if I hold up a white card, but you have blue tinted glasses on, you're going to see a blue card. Or if I hold up a red card and you have blue tinted glasses, then it might look more purple or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's why it feels like perception is the first step it passes through. And then we move through to the sage. And this is the point where, almost like a title card, the title card being the live life and find out, we start to see it's almost like by living life and by going out and doing things, we see how the information applies to the world, or we begin to see how it like actually works in the world. And so then it's almost like we get to process, and then next is the ace of air. It's like we process information in a new way or in a different way because it's less like I received a download and it's blah blah blah, and like it feels like it's less like cerebral and it's more lived. It's more physical. It's more like whatever. So then you look at the thing rather than the thought. And then after, it's almost like after we can learn to filter less and less and less, we receive more and more and more of what it actually is, and that leads us to this space because it's not the same filters of perception that we have here. And so it's almost like if you ask a question and you get an answer, but the answer doesn't come in a format that you're used to or that you're expecting, you wouldn't even know that your question is being answered. That came up in Cindy's reading. Cindy did for Pisces, I'm pretty sure. Or was it for Taurus? Or somebody. Cindy did for somebody. I think it was the mask they wear. I think it was for Pisces. And it was like, if you can't feel the warmth of the sun, would you blame the sun? Or something like that. It was something like, if you couldn't feel the warmth of the sun, would you blame the sun? Why is it like that? Oof, I lost it. Who stands at the Black River Gate in Egyptian mythology? I'm not sure of a Black River Gate, but I would almost say Anubis, but I don't know. Um, yeah, because it's being offered, it's being given, but we're not necessarily seeing because of how we perceive information. That's why it was like, if you can't feel the warmth of the sun, like, would you blame the sun? And it's like, if you're indoors, you're not going to feel it. If it's cloudy, you might not feel it. If it's nighttime, it's probably safe to assume you won't feel it. Not as directly as if like you were in sunlight. Um what you had to see, that's funny because I saw Gebo in one of your titles. And I was like, but it wasn't for a zodiac that I watch. So I was like, okay. But this morning I was like, oh, that said Geb, and Geb is my Egyptian zodiac. And I was like, oh, let me watch that video this morning. And then I saw it was like Gebo. And I was like, oh yeah, no, it's not. Was that Cancer? Was Cancer the Gebo? I think it was, wasn't it? Let's see. Where's Eve? There's Avalon Mystic. No, Sagittarius was Gebo. JK. Just kidding. This is not where I saw this going. I do notice though this relief here, while the rest of this Ten of Fire is like out in space, looks like. And the hammer and the chisel. Oh my gosh. Oof. More than I can chew. More than a Taurus post on Saturday. Hey, let's go. You said you already finished this series, right? Why is this card in reverse? Why is Destiny in reverse? Hello? Do I have reversals? Whoa, hold up. Hold up. The whole deck is in reverse. Oh, I must have picked up the deck upside down. So there's only the card that's actually, I thought Destiny was in reverse, but in all actuality, the Three of Water is in reverse. Oof. But because Destiny was at the bottom of the deck, I thought I had it all wrong. We'll see. We'll see if this goes anywhere. You know you'll run when it's time. I think that is in this. You'll know you are loved when it's time. When you know you've arrived, when it's time. Who was that? Oh, that was an affirmation I saw on whatever. That just did a 360 when you weren't looking. I wouldn't put it past the Earth 20. I wouldn't put it past it. I haven't used the Osho Zen Tarot in a minute. I can't remember if I've used these two before together. Oh, the Tesla Trap series. Yeah. I remember you Russ was live? Or was that for the dream reading? You commented and Russ was like, yes, do it. Oof. Is this in reverse? No, this one is upright. Oh, that's hilarious. So a card just flipped out in reverse and it's the Ten of Fire. Suppression. Suppression in reverse. The bottom of the deck is past lives. And sharing. And transformation. Okay. Past lives, sharing, and transformation is at the bottom of the deck. And this almost has Ten of Fire vibes. Oof. See, this is going somewhere. I don't want to go. This is not stuff I talk about on this channel. Maybe if I was on the other one, I would just be like, let's do it. And it's also interesting that between these two tins of fire, it's almost like this bit here could slot into this space. Right? Like right here. Because there's like the open space in between these two. But there's a person in there. So, oof, that would crush them. I don't want to do this. I'm tapping out. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have picked these decks and expected anything less. See, it feels like who was it? I feel like a few people have been saying it's a sea of eternal fire. Internal fire. Infernal fire. Wait. A sea of infernal fire. For Cancer's Tesla trap? Oof. See, it feels like because I know Remus said, and I think Ariel, it was a while ago when that was going around. It's like we need to pull the sword from the stone in this perception card. We need to pull the sword from the stone because it's too grounded in reality. Again, going back to the filters and stuff on perception. It's because of everything that we already know and everything that we've already experienced, or a lot of what we know have experienced and believed to be true and or possible, or on the flip side what we believe to be false and or impossible, that we don't see something in its fullness here. Because if this is starlight, that star could be a sun. And the only time we might get sunlight like this might be an eclipse. But when the sun is out, it doesn't shine like that. So then it'd have to be the moon. It's either a star or the moon for it to be that bright and that direct. Unless it's Spica. Oh, that was their irritation reading? Oof. I saw the Pisces and the Taurus irritation readings and they didn't seem like that bad. Putrefying and resurrecting? Oof. It's like it's like if 20 it's almost like if past lives, because past lives are here, right? And so if past lives are a thing, with this 10 of fire, it's an energy of building upon what already is. It's an energy of continuing a work or an energy of diversifying and doing something different. But it seems like, feels like a lot of times when it comes to past lives, it's just like baggage and burdens and things to work through. And I remember, I think it was with in the Collective Dreams video when Russ was talking about like a bloodline past life and like a soul past life and the differences between them. But it feels like something is supposed to be like continued or worked on and not like cleaned up. And that didn't come out. I keep thinking I read it in these lyrics, but I'm pretty sure I didn't read it in the lyrics. Maybe it was in the Ace of Swords or Ace of Air. But it's like that's why suppression is in the reverse with this. Um, because it's meant to flourish. And it's not necessarily like, what are you doing in this life for the next life? But it's like if in between all of your lives, there was like a skill set that you're mastering or a different set of experiences that you're going for so that you can whatever. Um, it just feels like it's about building up. And even if it isn't past lives, like this could be within your own life, like past versions of yourself, things that you used to get caught up on, things that used to hold you back, and stuff like that. It's like, well, at what point is your past almost going to stop becoming like a burden? And at what point are you going to be able to, like, I don't know, I lost the thought. Thinking is hard. And then I had another thought that I lost. It's like every experience gives us something, and we don't know what experiences will come in handy ever. And so, again, it's almost that title card energy of like live life and find out. And there's like with perception, having the Ace of Swords pointed down towards the ground. Again, it's like it's grounded and dissipated by the foundation of what already is. And it's almost like it's the opposite of this. It's like this one looks towards the sky, where this one is already anchored and rooted. So yeah, in that way, maybe it is more like within this incarnation. I used to say like I was at school for so long. I was like, oh yeah, I was a RA in a past life. My past life was like 2 years ago. Um, I think it's partially about being in the present moment, but it feels like on the contrary, it's like if you're too in the present now moment, then you might miss something that you already know the answer to. It's like the past is to help. And in the now moment, there is no past. And so it's like it's really quick to cut ties with the past. But in that, sometimes there may be things that we lose. And if we lose those things, then depending on journeys and paths, we might need to remember. And I guess I kind of like this because if the left is the past most, oops, there's a third of it that's already done. The now is in the center, the future is over here. This is the only thing that's done. All we can do is like expand and build outward from it. And it feels like we don't necessarily need to um like clear the slate. See, I don't know. This is weird. Cause it's almost like again, it's almost like humanness. Humanness affects how we engage and interact with these things. It's like as a human, like we have capacities, right? We can work to expand our capacity, and our capacities can shrink, but it's like there's a limit to what we can do. And so it's almost like, or at least how I'm like, or how it's feeling like it's reading. It's like now from a human perspective reads like the present, whereas now from a greater perspective, it's just like it feels like it's just more capable of looking at past, present, and future all as one. But when we have to live in a moment, and we only live in the now moment, but if we dream or nightmare, we can live in the future. If we nostalgia or are triggered by some kind of trauma, we can live in the past. But it feels like it's hard for us to live in the past, present, and future all at once. To live in the now that we kind of sort of that we recognize it as. Because it's like we can recognize the now as like all encompassed in a very timeless way. But it's like as an existing human, how do we do that? You know what I mean? And I guess this would kind of sort of be some of the solution or some of the answer to that. That's why the past can be used to build off of, but it's only a piece of it. I think sometimes like we get lost in it. And when we get lost and consumed in any moment, it pulls us out of now and puts us in that moment. Like that's how we can be present but stuck in the present with no mind or thought for the future or the past. And it almost feels like that no thingness, Like for the all, no thing is no thing, but for us, it's living because we're in it. From the outside of it, it looks however it looks. But when you're in it, especially when you're as microscopic as we can be, then you really see everything, right? It's like looking at a fish in a fish tank. We can see the fish in the fish tank and everything in that as a singular object. But the fish in the tank, since it lives in the tank, it doesn't necessarily experience it the same way that we see it. And there's something about the vision and the experience not necessarily being directly correlated. It's not necessarily like a one to one thing. And I think that's why the sage comes in after perspective, perception. That's why the sage comes in after perception. And that's the thing about like when you live it and when you learn how it's not how it's embodied in the form, but it's like when you learn how the principle plays out in reality, then you start to perceive everything differently. And it reminds me, it's like I was watching something, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe it was a tweet. Maybe I was watching a video and they brought up the tweet or something. And he was like, if astronomy was now, or if astronomy was thousands of years or hundreds of years ago, what it is now, retrogrades wouldn't exist. Because he was like, before we knew how the solar system worked, we thought these planets moved backwards in the sky. So that's why we call it a retrograde. And I would argue it's like retrogrades would still exist because it's very human that we have, like, even when we know how a thing works, if our perception of it is different, we have a word for that perception, right? It's like if something appears to do this, then we call it XYZ. So it doesn't necessarily matter. Anyway, I feel like I feel like if I follow it too far out, I might get lost. But that's the thing. It's like we'd still have a word for retrograde. And it's like when a planet appears to move backwards in the sky because it's closer to the sun than we are. Well, no, because all of the planets go retrograde just because our relative position in the solar system and how the sky works and the limitation of the sky to present um 3D plus whatever objects at a distance, right? It's just like how we have a word for the Doppler effect. When something gets closer, it sounds louder, and as it gets farther away, it quiets down. Like there's a word for that. We'd still have a word for it. But it's about how, again, we balance the information with the perception and the experience. And that's what the sage is like in the process of doing. Because I was going to say that these feel very similar, but the sage does hold a bit of magic in the natural world. And it gets closer and closer to this. Perception isn't able to process all of this because perception is the filter, which is again why the sage has to like get so many different almost touch points to try to view it from a greater and greater perspective, to see more pictures of the puzzle, to see more pieces of the puzzle, to see more of the picture. Okay. If that makes sense. And this is a point where I'd ask, like, well, if all of that is true, how do we overcome the limitations of like our experience or the type of experience that we have to have by nature of who we are and how we exist in the world? Um, can I ask that? How do we? Is there a way? We'll see. Steph, how you doing? How are you doing? Okay. Is this not the deck to ask? I'm not going to an angel deck. I'm not doing it. I don't even know what angel deck. Oh, look. The two of the mind. You know, we don't have to fall into the title, but this is like trying to bridge the gap. There's like gap energy. It does remind me of the Between Tarot, though, between the Emperor and the Hierophant, which is actually the title. It's the cover art for the box. Hey, excuse me. That means you'll be able to be more mobile. This is not where I thought this would go. How does this tie back into negative space? That's what the sage. Which one? This is the Osho Zen Tarot. And then the other one is the Dreams of Gaia. This is the negative space. See, the negative space, it's the area where that correlation is broken. It's almost like the veil, but it's not the veil. Maybe it's a veil of sorts. It's not like the veil that I feel like we talk about a lot of times where we reference the veil. Oh my gosh. Is this in the negative space? Oh. The Nine of Water might actually be in that negative space. This is like to suffer in that space and suppression. But maybe the Nine of Water is able to navigate it. That, oh, what was that? It's reminding me of a reading I did when I was pulling between the Queen, the Ivory Shield, the Ebony Shield, and the Ivory Shield. I can't remember if it was the Queen of Cups and the Queen of, I think it was the Queen of Swords. It was between the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords a while ago. And I looked at every card in between the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords to see the nature of that, the channel sort of between them, which is interesting because this is perception in a very watery space. But it's like when you get air where water should be, it's not always a good thing. It's like, if you get air, if you get an air bubble and an IV, that's like gas being injected into your veins. So it's not preferable. It's like air should go where air should go, water should go where water should go. But you can have an aerated stream of water. Maybe the problem with the syringe is that because of restrictions it's only air. As it passes through, there's no water because the vessel, the space isn't wide enough to accommodate both water and air. It's like it would be less bad if it were like water and air rather than just like straight up air. But that's the thing about limited perception. That's why drinking soda is so bad. Exactly. Excuse me. It's almost like there are principles of correlation. And that goes back to this and that are true. It goes back to how something can be true in one context and something else can be true in another context. And it's about finding the space where like both things are simultaneously true. Or if we can view multiple things as true, then it gives us a greater idea. See, maybe that's this again between perception and the sage. When we can view multiple things as true, it gives us a greater picture of the whole. But it seems that like in order for one thing to be it seems like the way that people think a lot of times it's like in order for one thing to be true, the other thing has to be false. There's like if I'm right, then other people have to be wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, in reality, no. And there's something about I've kind of wanted to talk about it for a minute, but I don't necessarily know how to say it. It's that it seems that like I think we talk more about unification and oneness than we may have the ability to accommodate what that might be exactly. Um, and it's like, in order for that to happen, we have to have the capacity to allow multiple things to be true in order for everything to come back together because it's not like other things necessarily like become false or they become invalidated. And it's kind of sort of not necessarily like what our own capacity is to allow other people to have their own experience, but it seems that I mean, as a human, it's not necessarily easy to be like to it I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It's easy to again like allow multiple people, multiple things to be right even if they appear to be contradictory. And it's almost like there's the soul that gives rise to the self that's a part of the environment from the outside, but it's separate from the environment because it's the self. It's like both a part of the collective and outside of the collective at the same time. Right? Like if there are two fish in a tank, the tank includes both fish, but one fish is not the other fish. And again, it's like if we try to reach up, there's some kind of law of correspondences or some kind of correlation that we don't seem as easily to see, look for, or comprehend. I don't even know what alchemy is. I was kind of sort of thinking about it because I'm like, because I know that alchemists were the first chemists, and that's where we know a lot of our knowledge of chemistry and how to turn one element into another element in terms of whatever, but it's like I've kind of been thinking about it, not a lot lately, but it's kind of been on my mind lately. Like, is that really it? Because for some reason, it just feels like it's more. Maybe more in a simpler way. So maybe less. But again, I don't know. Those who do know don't seem to share their knowing easily and plainly for others to follow. um, yeah, this was a bit more than I bargained for. You found some cool old books. It's all new now. Oof, the crux of it all. See, that's when I get like lost. But again, it's like our experience is capable of teaching us, giving us literally everything that we need. It's a willingness or unwillingness to participate in the experience that catches us up a lot of times. It's like there are things that you don't have to be trained on formally or educated to know. It's like if you live life, that's the title card. It's like live life and find out. But sometimes you actually have to live life. Because again, if it's presented but not received, if you don't feel the warmth of the sun, do you blame the sun? Some people, some people do, and it's fine. Because maybe sometimes, depending on what the sun is, maybe it is the sun. Maybe the sun is a dying star, and it's like, ooh, it's not as hot as it used to be, or maybe it's hotter than it used to be. Maybe that's a point in the life cycle of a star. Who knows? Before they implode or burn out or whatever. Um, I feel like it's so quiet in my house. Why is it so quiet? I feel like everybody's listening to me. Ah, quick, somebody say something. um, See, but that was a question that came out a minute ago, right? It was like Stevie Wonder blamed it on the sun once. It was like how it was basically like how can we be in two places at one time? Or it's like where the mind and the body occupy the same space at the same time. And then for that space to also be the where the soul is and everything else is. And maybe that's the 10 of fire as well. It's the power of presence. When body, mind, heart, soul, spirit, everything occupies the same space and all has the same end in mind. And it's all working to build, working in the same direction. But there are so many things that can take us out of the moment. And so many things that can keep us from moving into the next moment. And that might also, I feel like that's a limitation of a lived now. I feel like a lived now, again, it's like it doesn't feel like it, I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't accommodate the past and the future in a way that a conceptual now does. Like, and if now is a concept of like, now is the summation of the past, the present, and the future, it's all time and one in a way where it's timelessness. But as human beings who are living lives from the day we're born until the day we're unborn, every subsequent moment that we live and experience is another moment. There's before and there will be after. And sometimes we might get an opportunity to interact with the before or with the after. But we, as the individual, are who we are. It's like if you were to visit yourself in the past, that would be you going back. So your experience of going back to the past would be different than your past experience of being visited by the future. You know what I mean? So even if we can like interact with our own time as a lived experience, it's continuous. And I think that in some way, it seems that a lot of things are about breaking. Hey Holly, how you doing? You just left work? What? Oh, I wish I could work remote. Girl, I'm so ready. Like my next job, it has to be remote. It has to be. It doesn't have to be, but if I could like telecommute like 2 to 3 days a week or like 1 week on, 10 weeks off, it would be perfect. Um, but again, it feels like that's where some principles of correspondences come in. And it's the principles of correspondence that correct our experience for the bigger picture. And I guess that has like that sounds like alchemy. Alchemy itself has been so I'm playing D&D right now. I'm D&Ding by text. And my character is an alchemist. My character is learning alchemy. Um and my character had an interaction with another character. And the other character is also an alchemist. And we're of course like we're role playing and he said something about honesty and how like when you're honest there's no questions and then it made me think of alchemy. It made me realize in some weird synchronistic maybe way you have to go in on Fridays. That's not too bad. One day out of the week, oof, like you got to be up and get dressed, leave the house. Some people get dressed to work in the house, you know. um but it's like I had a view of alchemy like changing one thing into something else. But because his character said that, it's like, what if alchemy is like it's using not the pure nature of one thing, but it's like it's not about changing something. It's about different things coming together to make something new. And so what you do is you make thing A as you can make it, and you make thing B as you can make it, and together A and B create C, rather than thinking of it as like changing A into C. And it feels like the approach or the intention holds the approach or intention informs a lot of the process. In a way, I don't know. I'm weird. I like it, but I was like, why is my brain going here right now? I don't think it's that serious, but 45-minute drive. Ugh. I was gonna say in the snow, but hopefully y'all don't get too much of that. I know it's snowing here and some people gotta drive. That's why I don't have to work tomorrow. Whoop, whoop. Thankful for the snow day. But yeah, I don't know why. It was just like, oh, like alchemy, it's not about changing things. And some I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna put these cards away. It's been like an hour. But I feel like, yeah, yeah. So the negative space, it's almost like when we understand the principles of correspondences, we can use those same principles in a different direction. Like instead of it being a lot of like inward things and some out, I think it's both. There's like a correspondence in and there's a correspondence out. It's like between Celsius and Fahrenheit, right? Like if you look at 0 degrees Celsius, no, yes, 0 degrees Celsius is where water freezes. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is where water freezes. So if I add 32 to Celsius, then I'll get Fahrenheit. And it's like, yes, if you're looking at 0 or things really, really, really close to 0. But the formula is more complicated than that, right? Like 2 degrees Celsius isn't necessarily 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, let's see. Hey Siri, what's 2 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
2 degrees Celsius is 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
35.6. That's over a degree and a half away. I thought it would be closer, that close to 0. But still, that's why it's like, but in that negative space, if we can understand and rework our relationship with those correspondences, then see, but then that just sounds, I don't know, it feels like it's starting to sound real alchemy. But it's like that's when things really start to work. Mm. Does this, I don't know if either one of these decks have a high priestess. I need to do more Sagittarius readings. I love getting sciencey. The whole city shuts down. Understand yourself, do you? My Yoda voice is terrible. I've seen like one Star Wars movie because I was literally forced to watch it. And I was like, wow, this is not for me. This is not for me. But it's fine. But yeah, it is very like we're capable of everything that we hear ourselves to be capable of. But how it's like the way that we get there. Brain is done. My brain is done. There we go. Oh, there we go. Sometimes that sounded like I don't know, that the way that sounded, it was just like there's a little rodeo a couple blocks from me. Sometimes at night I can hear them like a scary story told by the campfire. So two cards fell out. The first one is the Fool. I mean, he's like falling off of a cliff. He's walking off of a cliff into a valley, which is very like live the experience. The other card came face down and it's compromise, which feels like a reflectivity. 6 of Rainbows. The bottom of the deck is the Two of the Mind again. See, I feel like this goes back to life has the ability to teach you everything that you need to know when you're engaged in the experience. And again, a lot of things can pull us out of the experience. And in that way, it feels like it reads very like live in the now, but it feels like the experience is bigger than the now moment. Maybe experience gives us more than the now moment. It's very like, if you were a non-incarnate spirit experiencing time in a non-linear fashion, then time would literally mean nothing. And so it's kind of like only by being subjected to time do we find appreciation. I don't even know if appreciation is the word, but it's just like there are things about time that you wouldn't know unless you experience time. Like timelessness is literally timeless. So how is it really to know anything about time? Just because you can see all moments simultaneously doesn't mean you understand time, because you don't know what the experience of it is. And again, it's like it's a very like Sagittarius textbook theoretical philosophical understanding of time. But the Gemini lived in, experienced, immersed in. It's like you see things as different. And somebody said that. Who was I watching? Somebody said something. I feel like I was going to work. I was watching somebody and somebody said something about like if there is a scientist and a farmer, and the scientist has all of their knowledge about crops, and the farmer who are like actually in the field have all of their knowledge about crops. It's like, would you listen to the scientist who knows all of the science, or would you listen to the farmer who like hands in the dirt knows how to do it? And you could say the wise man would listen to both. I don't know. Who said that? Yeah. I have my ex roomie, one of my Scorpio best friends, I guess. He used to yee. I was like, it's so fun. Like he has a fairly um, neutral Midwestern accent, but there are just like some words where he sounds like not deep South Southern, but kind of Southern. And like he grew up in the Midwest, but he was born in Oklahoma. Um, and so like there are just some things that he says that like I don't know. I just like love to hear him say it, and it just makes me laugh. It brings me so much joy just to hear him talk sometimes. But yeah, he'll yee, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't yee like the pros. I'm not even gonna make a fool of myself and try. I had a Farmer's Almanac calendar, and I looked for the calendar when I went into the store, and I couldn't find it. I mean, it's not because I guess the point is just that, like, while the experience does teach us a lot, because of our, and I guess perception is a double edged sword, literally. It's like because our ability to perceive is limited, we may observe a phenomena, but attribute it to something that's not the case. And in that way, it's almost like old wives' tale type of like, if it rains on Tuesday, there's going to be mold on Wednesday because of whatever. And it's like, yes, there's going to be mold on Wednesday if it rained on Tuesday, but that's because mold thrives in moisture. So the rain isn't literally bringing mold. It's like when people used to think, or when they would say that something causes disease or something like that, but it's like the disease would come before and the maggots were actually attracted to the disease. But it's like the disease was already there. And so that's why it's like with the farmer, sometimes we can misattribute things or misattribute. And because of that, because of our limited ability to perceive, because we don't have like microscopic vision and because we don't know everything, we can't necessarily always give a one-to-one correct correlation. But the science is better able to give a correlation better. It's all theory. It's all theory and it's tested. But at the end of the day, it's a theory until we can prove it, right? And even the stuff that we can see, sometimes we still can't prove. But that's why. See you later, Kathy. Enjoy the call with your mom. Enjoy your you time and keep the Randy pug puppy. What's a word for less Randy? More prudish. Excuse me. But yeah, that's why it's like that's why we listen to both. Anyway, I don't know. Or not. It's your life. That's what somebody was saying. I don't know. Rhea, spirit and soul, where? Rhea, spirit and soul, right? Yep, there she is, spirit and soul. Rhea, hello. How are you? Your family lives in Oklahoma and they talk money. When you say the same, when you said deep South, Southern, and Texas accents are different, but in the same overall category, I read like overall, like overalls. And I was like in the same overalls category. And my brain was just like, hold up, wait. I don't think Eve is talking about overalls. But it's funny. Maybe you are. You need to rest. Oh, thank you. I need to rest too. I was gonna try to do this yesterday, but after I got off work, I was like, no. What time is it? Oh, that's too many. This is a lot of fire. This is all fire. The two of fire, the three of fire, the hero, which is the 12 of fire. Oh, let's see. Let's do it this way. And then the 6 of fire. The bottom of the deck is choice. See, it's that full energy again. It's 0. Under choice is the 10 of fire. And then love is under the 10 of fire. I mean, I'm not going to take love, but I mean, I'll take love. Don't get me wrong. I will definitely take love. I'm not going to read love as a part of this energy. Let's clear that up. That's fire. No, just kidding. It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. This is actually one of my favorite cards in this deck. I feel like I feel like Reem and Russ might have said they don't like it, but I dig this card. Because there's something in here again about correspondences. It's like as humans, this is what we see. Let me see if I can do it. This is what we see as humans. We're like, oh, this is growing on this side. So I should align with this if I want this to grow. This is what I have to do. But this grows off of the sword point of that energy. So this actually comes from this. This, nothing, comes from this. But because this is our experience, we think that this leads to nothing. And again, it's like it's limited perception because we can't see through things that we can't see through. We don't have x-ray vision and we don't have causal vision where it's like if we see something happening, then we can see what caused the thing to happen. Is that a bear? Oh my gosh. Is that a sun bear? One of my friends in high school was like, I saw a sun bear in India and it reminded me of you. That was a while ago. I actually work with his dad now. Anyway, that's my biggest takeaway from this. I'm going to put the rest back. I just want one card so I can end this video so I can get ready. That's 6 o'clock. Volcano. Volcano. I would have to look it up. I think it's a bear and they have like it's getting hot in here. So hot. It was actually hot at work today. Dude was like, yeah, the AC froze over. So he had to turn it off. And I was like, why is it hot when it's so cold outside? Like it's literally snowing inches upon inches right now, centimeters upon centimeters upon centimeters right now. And it's hot in here because the AC isn't on. What? But by the end of the day, it turned on. I was like, is it cooler in here? And my coworker was like, I don't think so, but I could feel it. As soon as the air shifted, I was like, yeah, the air is on right now. I'm going to Google a picture and then hold it up. These are sun bears. Those are sun bears. What card is what? That was the 6 of fire, I think. Oh, it's small and stocky. That's cute. Yeah. He was like, I saw the sun bear and it reminded me of you. The 7 of air is at the bottom of the deck. The 7 of air in this deck is interesting. Oh, look. There's the 2 of fire again. This time, the 2 of fire is with the 10 of water. There's 2 of them. So maybe we're seeing the other side of the 2 of fire that leads to the water. But it's like that's the dagger. That's the dagger that was on the forehead of the air dragon, where perception had that entire sword. And it's interesting that it's the 7 of air because the 7 of swords was at the bottom of the deck with the rising fire at the bottom of the before tarot yesterday or the day before yesterday with that knight of swords. Yeah, he was like, I saw. Wait, he's like, I saw a sun bear, and it reminded me of you. I feel like I saw. Did I see a bear today? I had that bear dream, but his last name was Sun. Oh snap! See, the emotions are coming out in personal readings today. Apparently, Eve said she did a personal reading. Okay, well, well, the final card is the Ten of Fire. It came out. The bottom of the deck is the Sage again. Behind the Sage is the Five of Earth, and the Five of Earth is interesting. The Five of Earth is interesting because it's almost. It's like it's not the deck that you're dealt, it's how you play your cards. And it's like the cards are in one hand, and the friendship bracelet, it's different. But the friendship bracelet that was offered by the Six of Water is in the other hand. But both energies come from the same person, it's coming from the same point. And again, it's like this is why perspective and perception, it's like, we're human. We have almost no choice but to be just guided and led by perception because it's what we see. But it's to understand the limitations of our own perspective and perception. But it's also, again, with experiencing time. And because we experience time, we really get to learn it in a way that an energy that doesn't experience time wouldn't. Um, it's like our limited perspective and perception, it also has its advantages in some way. And this Five of Earth, it's almost like finding the advantage, seeing beyond misfortune to claim the advantage. And it's like when that happens, we're not playing the same game. I mean, some can argue we're not playing any game. Some can argue we never play games. It's living life. Um, but again, it feels like that could be one of those things that might keep us from freely exploring the past, the present, and or the future. It's the grounded sword in perception that we have to pull out of the earth because the earth, it's not necessarily contradiction, but it's because of our limited ability to understand and comprehend and perceive. Like the earth can only give us so much as the earth because we can only perceive so much. We only have a certain capacity. We can't hold more. Like the earth has more to give us than we have the capacity to see, hold, believe, whatever. But again, it's like if we understand that we can change the way we navigate. It's very like anime, video game, TV show, movie. Like this character understands their weaknesses really well. This character understands their weaknesses so well that they're actually able to develop a strength that's unique to them, not only because of their weaknesses, but because they're so aware of their weaknesses. Now, a lot of times, and some you will see, but a lot of times we don't see a character's journey in learning to turn that weakness into a strength or learning to overcome that weakness. I mean, yeah, sometimes we do, right? Especially if it's like the hero, it's part of the hero's journey. Um, but again, that all falls under the realm of the sage. And so then it's almost like the sage gets to the point where it's able to turn misfortune into fortune because of the knowings of negative spaces. It's able to turn the wheel of fortune. And again, it's interesting because it's about experiencing and it's about living, but it's about not being so grounded in the experience that you can't see or perceive anything outside of that experience. Because that's how we move forward, that's how we experience next. And that's what it was originally sort of about. When all our yesterdays have lighted geniuses the way to brilliant life. I'm trying to twist the tomorrow soliloquy when he's like, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. In long lighthouse. I don't know. Upload the personal video. Oh snap. Oh snap. Grandpa's son. That's granddaddy's son. Or soon. Is it son or soon? Yeah. And I think a lot of times we approach that card as a trick. And it's because it looks like a trick that we don't engage with the energy. But in reality, the card itself almost shows itself to not be a trick. And if we look, this is where perspective comes into play. Because I was going to say, if we look, it looks like he's actually pulling this out of his sleeve. So it's like you're getting a better deal than you thought you were getting. It's actually working out better for you. But this is also the thing about that, but that it's almost like that's literally the Rorschach test, or like any psychological, psychiatric, emotional, whatever evaluation of a person, especially when they choose still images. Because I could show you this still image, I could show you like just that part and be like, is this person pulling the necklace out of their sleeve, or are they putting it in their sleeve? And if you see that as someone putting the necklace in their sleeve, then it's almost like your brain could easily go to the assumption that like it's stolen from me and they're trying to take it while they're trying to trick me up here. They're trying to trick me up here while they steal from me down there. But again, it's rooted in perspective. It's like if you're someone who's never been stolen from, if you're someone who's only ever been gifted things, you would think, oh my gosh, it's like a surprise necklace. How did you know I wanted this? It's literally perfect. The cards are a joke gift. The real gift is being pulled out of the sleeve. It's perspective, it's perception. And it forms so much of our experience because of how we approach it, because we're living our lives. And maybe the person's like, I was going to give you this necklace, but if you don't want it, that's fine. Not like one of those flasher people when like someone walks up with a coat and then they do that and you're like, oh no, but it's actually like, I don't know, congratulations, you're the whatever, you won something. That's why it's live life and find out energy. And that's when, it's like when we protect ourselves, when we can become jaded, we can become naive. It's all experience. Who's to say which is which? I don't know. That's what he wants you to think. I took Mandarin for a semester in high school. So all I can say is, can I even say my name? 我的名字是 or would it be like 名字? Is that just last name? I don't know. I took Japanese for a few years in college and Chinese for a semester in it might be soon then if it's Chinese because I know it's Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong Shifu. Journey to the East or is it Journey to the West? We watched the movie um and he was like Shifu, Shifu. And there was like Wukong, Shifu. My friend said she used to have nightmares about that. Mingju. Oh, I guess also in Chinese the intonations matter. Because if it's first tone, second tone, third tone, fourth tone, or a neutral. No, neutral tone, I think is first tone. And then the second tone is the dip. The third tone is rising, and the fourth tone is falling and forced. Ma, ma, ma. No, the third one is the dip. Ma, right? And then ma is the fourth. It's gonna be terrible, but you know. Or is it Jiao? Because I feel like Ni Jiao means it. I don't know. I don't remember. I thought I'd be able to say my name. I can say hi. I can say thank you. Shit, shit. How do you say hi? Zaijian is bye. Ni hao ma, duh. Ni hao ma. 我很好，谢谢。A hexagram deck. What's a hexagram deck? I don't even know what that is. Oh, thank you, Rhea. I try. I'm just so jaded. Eve said I'm in Texas right now. Texas. And her eyes get wide and one of them starts to twitch a little bit. My mother always said happiness is Texas in the rearview mirror. But yeah, that's the thing about perception. Who's to say who's right or wrong? Mushi mushi. I know hua hua is to draw, right? Well, I can't. What was it? Jiao Antao was my name in Chinese. Jiao Antao. I had to like when learning foreign languages, most of my teachers were females. And like I would be learning a language in a female voice. And so because that's how I was learning it, I would like pitch shift. And so I had to like try to find my voice in other languages. So I'm not like trying to emulate. It's like I'm like it was a journey of integration rather than emulation, if that makes sense. So now if I'm like ni hao ma, I meant to speak Japanese, but Chinese came out of my mouth. If I'm like konnichiwa, minasan, or minatachi yokoso, you know what I mean? I'm not pitch shifting up to try to emulate the voices that taught me. Um, One of my friends was like, "How do you do that?" Like every time I speak a foreign language, like I pitch shift up. I was like, because it was Chinese. I was a nervous, shy, young lad, not trying to sound like ni hao ma, you know. And so I worked at it, and I found my voice. Boku wa boku da na. Boku wa Ore wa boku desu ne. I am who I am. And so it is. Anyway. Texas, if you want to say it like us, ye folk. Gosh, Eve. Ooh, Eve. Ye folk. Not ye folk. Well, you got your ye folk, and then you got your ye folk. And as long as we're not talking about the ye folk, then I got you. I think I can understand. I think I follow. Stuff. What was that last card? The Ten of Fire. I mean, I've seen it so much. Why not read it from the book? Actually, what did they say about the Six of Fire? See, I'm just like, mm. Oh, that was the 11. The Ten of Fire symbolizes mastery, not just of a skill or craft, but of oneself. It means understanding the tools of your craft and wielding them with skill, precision, and craftsmanship. It is about knowing yourself and using that knowledge and understanding to bring you all that you need and desire with the same level of skill, precision, and craftsmanship. The master illustrated in the Ten of Fire knows how to wield his personal power. He moves with clear intentions and he acts with the same intent. He is aware of what motivates his behavior and actions and exhibits complete self command. He acts with deliberation and with complete awareness of the effect his actions will have upon himself and his environment. See, like that's that law of correspondences between and across negative spaces type of energy. I should have just read this and saved myself an hour and a half. And you. He is not only confident, he is capable also. He has evolved from a person who lacked awareness and perhaps even blamed others for the problems in his life because he was unable to see that every action gives rise to a consequence. He once stumbled about, his inexperience resulting in more mistakes than triumphs, but he continued, and in doing so, reached a crucial moment of enlightenment when he realized that in order to succeed, he had to take command of himself and his life. He had to take responsibility for every choice made, for every action, and for every emotion. From that moment on, he would shape his life, he would shape who he was. He would no longer be a slave to outside forces, he would become a master. If the Ten of Fire appears in your reading, he indicates a time to step up and take charge of your life. It is a time to dedicate yourself to the path of the master, not so you can have control over others, so you can shape your life with skill and confidence. How does one become a master? It may require pushing one's mind and body to continue despite all impediments and perceived restrictions. It requires dedication and discipline and a willingness to set personal challenges and goals and stick to them. It also requires knowing when to stop and allow yourself time to absorb and recharge. The master recognizes that there is a time for growth and a time to be dormant and rest. Above all, to become this is like, I thought I was going to read all this, but I'm not. Above all, to become a master, you must be willing to learn. On a metaphysical level, see a lesson in all experiences. On a practical level, learn something that requires daily practice and do not allow your first inevitable failures and mistakes. Hold up, wait. On a practical level, learn something that requires daily practice and do not allow your first inevitable failures and mistakes inspire you to give up. Oh, okay. Do not allow failures and mistakes to inspire you to give up. I feel like that's worded weird. Don't be like, see, I knew I couldn't do it, and then just give up. See, this is why I never try. It's like, man, okay, well, fine. Just stop. Just stop trying. It's your life. Whatever you choose and whatever you decide goes. You want to give up? Let's give up. That's speaking of Into the Woods, I'm gonna link that. It's in Act 2 when he's like, no more questions, please. No more tests. And then the dude is like, running away. Let's do it. I'll actually look up the lyrics. It's no more. No more lyrics. Into the Woods. Because there's this really, really good part. It's really interesting. Um, No more riddles, no more jests, no more curses you can't undo, left by fathers you never knew, no more quests, no more feelings, time to shut the door, just no more. And then the mysterious man is like, running away, let's do it, free from the ties that bind, no more despair or burdens to bear out there in the yonder. Running away, go to it, where do you have in mind? Have to take care unless there's a where, you'll only be wandering blind. Just more questions, different kind. And I love that. That's so that Six of Swords energy that Rob talks about. It's like if like there's just gonna be more questions. It'll be different questions, but it's not might not lead to the whatever you're looking for. Might not lead to the whatever that you're looking for. Unless there's a where. Better take care. Unless there's a where, you'll only be wandering blind. Just more questions. Different kind. Da, 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 da. Okay. Anyway. Duty free shop. What? Oh, Holly Ni Hao. I read Holy Ni Hao. I was like, wait. Oof, Eve. Eve said, let me tell you what it's really like in Texas. That's funny. Ni hao, ma. What about bay, bao bay? 给你一点甜甜，让你今夜都好眠。我的小鬼，小鬼。That's What about Bay? What's up, my baby? 我 is I, and is possessive. So 我的 is my, and 你的 is your, because 你 is you, and 他 is us. Woman is our, because our is like multiple. Niman is y'all. Taman. What is Taman? What is Ta? Ta. Mandarin. It. Okay. It often refers to objects or animals, even if the animal has a distinct gendering. Okay. Taman. Those, maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, I'm done. Used to go to Michigan and Canada's duty free. You posted it. Oh snap. Oh. Well, I'm gonna give it a watch. Ba-bum. Oh, that's what they're for. I didn't know that. I know when I went to London, it was like if you did this duty free, blah blah blah. It's like we paid taxes on stuff, on some stuff in London. So in the airport, like we brought our receipts and they refunded the taxes because we're not citizens. On the airplane, they had duty free stuff that was super expensive. It was super expensive. 5 minutes till 6. Okay, yeah, I gotta go. Thank you all for being here. This was a thing. Um, don't know what it was. I know what it was. It was what it was. How do I say that in Japanese? How do I say it? Ko, ko, this, or is no kono, this, because koko is here. Koko, soko, asoko. Kono. Kono. wa kono deshita. This was this. Right? Kono wa kono deshita. I don't know. All right. I hope you all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Again, I hope that you are acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope you the wisdom and discernment to know what is for you to do and to know what's not for you to do and to be able to navigate what is for you to do and what is not for you to do to make that which you wish to experience more likely to happen or occur. Right? That was some words. I can say words. I can speak.